American accent. I was born in America, but my heart is Nigerian. I have lived and traveled back and forth to Nigeria for the past 25 years. So I feel today we can have a family discussion. Is that all right with you? Yes. Is it all right with you? Yes. That I just be brutally frank and honest? My topic today is effective public communications, a global perspective. Now, I'm not going to read the paper because this is a workshop, and I am just going to talk for about 10 minutes so that I can have 10 minutes of interaction with you. Is that all right with you? Yes. Is that all right with you?
Yes.
You see, information, Dr. Okupi, is power. Are you with me? Information is power. Now, I want to ask you, how many of you in this room, how many of you know each other? Raise your hand if you know 40% of the people in this room.
40%, you know.
Yes, see, that's why we need to have this workshop. Because how can you have a government and the government spokespeople don't know each other? I mean, Dr. Okupi, is that okay if I just be brutally frank? You see, you cannot have a talking on behalf of a government if people don't know each other. You see, how can I talk about what you're doing with SS and what you're doing with Ministry of Information and Transportation if I don't even know who to call? Are you with me?
Yes.
So that's number one. That's what's so important about what Dr. Okupe is doing here today. Everybody in this room must know each other. That's number one. Number two, Dr. Okupe really pretty much talked about my presentation because I wanted to use examples of how he established a relationship with the people in Washington. You see, everything is about relationships. Are you with me? Everything. You see, when he needed to know something during his tenure, when Nigeria entered Washington, they'll say, Nigeria is in the house. You see, Nigeria is in the house. It was that kind of pride and that kind of, you see, I know that I am Nigerian because I'm bold, I'm fearless, and I'm confident. I know who I am as an African woman. You see, you're not an African because you're born in Africa. You're an African when Africa is born in you. And I am Nigerian. You see, one of the things that I think that Ben Bruce talked about, I think he did a very good example of talking about historically how we got where we are today. I think he did excellent on that. But the point that I want to stress from the global standpoint is Nigeria right now, people don't trust what you say. I mean, you know, I'm not trying to be offensive, but we have to have a real conversation. You see, and like I said to Doctor, who has been my friend for, it's been longer than 15 years. It's been almost 20 years now. And some of the things that he talked about when he was in Cuba and all of that, I was with him. You see, he was confident enough to bring in people he felt could help him. He was confident enough to understand that when you bring people to help you, it makes you look good. Are you with me? So one of the things that we have to talk about and we have to be honest about, I was talking to Victoria and I was talking to Kimmy. These are two people who I work with here. And I said, do the average person really trust the government? Do they trust what people are saying? And what did you say?
Lord have mercy.
What did you say?
No.
What did you say? No. They said no. Now, these are people who live here. You see, these are people who are here every day. I talked to my driver. I talked to the hotel people. I said, you know, how are you feeling about this government? Everybody I talked to said, hopeless. I feel hopeless. Now, Nigeria is the most important country for black people around the world. Are you with me? Yes. 1 out of every 5 African in the world is a Nigerian. So if Nigeria does not move, what does that do for all of us in the world? Are you with me? Yes. You see, so it's very important. You see, I'm not here politically. I'm not talking about any other parties. I'm talking about Nigeria first. I'm talking about Nigeria first. I'm talking about how communications is the key. You see, let me give you another example of what I'm talking about. You see, in the U.S., when the Boston situation happened, are you with me? When they did the Boston Marathon and they blew that up, are you with me, my sisters? Did you watch the news? And you saw how the U.S. stays on top of subjects. They reported every minute what was going on. So everybody in the country felt a sense of being a part of what was happening in Boston. Are you with me? You see, everybody, and then in the city where they were looking for the bomber, they made everybody a police officer. Everybody was alert about what was going on. They found the young boy because everybody took that as a part of their national duty to help find this boy. So my point is that you have to start with the grassroots. You have to start there. You see, nobody will get elected in this country if you don't have the youth and the women behind you. Let me just say that again. Youth, women, and everybody has to be a part of it. Obama is president today because of young people and the women. You see, because one of the things that, you know, I think what we do too much here is we deal with the office and personalities instead of the office. You see, presidents come, they go, ministers come and go, but those offices remain. Are you with me? So it's very important that you as spokespeople, you understand what you're supposed to be doing. And you articulate it to everybody so that everybody understands. I wanted to say that. The game has changed. You see, both Dr. Okupe and Ben Bruce talked about Twitter, Facebook. I mean, people know when you're lying. So you come up and say, okay, this is what is happening. Somebody can tweet it and it'll go around the world. YouTube. You see, so you can't lie to people anymore. You know, when Ben Bruce was talking years ago when you didn't have a social media, you didn't have that, you could tell people. And people believed what you said, but not today. You know, if I tell you I'm this and that, all you have to do is Google me. And you can find out immediately what I'm doing, what I haven't done, everything. So, point being, today, as information officers, and this is what I'm appealing to Dr. Okupe, I'm saying to you, training is not just one time coming together. You see, that's why you know all you know. It's because you trained yourself to know those things. You see, that's why he has relationships with the CNN. I mean, you used to call Jim Clancy every day. Jim, this is Owen. And they had a relationship. That's one of the things I think is so important too, is that you get your journalists, your information people, train them. Let them go outside of Nigeria and establish relationships. Because everything is relationships. Are you with me?
Yes.
Now I'm going to I talked about training, establishing relationships, traveling, and I am going to end on this one. Everybody in this room, before you leave, you should know at least 5 people here. I'm going to challenge each and every one of you here to get the name, the address, the details of at least 5 people. If you don't take 5 people, I'm hoping that you're going to circulate the list to everybody. The list will be circulated so you'll have everybody's details. But I just really want to say from my heart to your heart, Nigeria is all we have. You see, you only have one country here, and that is Nigeria. You see, Nigeria, as I said, 1 out of 5 of us are all Nigerians. So it is our duty and our responsibility to make Nigeria first. Thank you very much. I think you can give me a bigger round of applause than that.